Welcome to the Apple Health PowerPoint presentation. This presentation will cover key segments of Apple Health with an emphasis on eligibility for Ukrainians. Today's training will cover the following: Apple Health eligibility for individuals from Ukraine, refugee medical assistance, how to enter authorized representative information, and after pregnancy coverage. First, I will provide you with some background on Ukrainian eligibility. On April 21, 2022, President Biden announced Uniting for Ukraine, a new streamlined process to provide Ukrainian citizens opportunities to come to the United States. And with the passing of the additional Ukraine Supplemental Appropriations Act on May 21, 2022, Ukrainians and non-Ukrainian individuals who last habitually resided in Ukraine may now be eligible for Washington Apple Health. The next section will address Apple Health eligibility for individuals from Ukraine. Individuals from Ukraine will have one of the following statuses: temporary protected status, also known as TPS, parole granted before February 24, 2022 for less than 1 year, or humanitarian parole granted on or after February 24, 2022 through September 30, 2023 for up to 2 years. Individuals are not automatically granted a Social Security number, but may be issued one after applying for an employment authorization card. Please keep in mind that many Ukrainians have been lawfully present in the U.S. prior to the war, and they may be residing under another immigration status that is outside of TPS, parole, or humanitarian parole. Individuals who were paroled and entered the United States prior to February 24, 2022 may be eligible for Apple Health if they are a child, pregnant, or have a qualifying emergency medical condition. Individuals granted temporary protected status may be eligible for Apple Health if they are a child, pregnant, or have a qualifying emergency medical condition. Individuals who are paroled and entered the United States between February 24, 2022 and September 30, 2023 may be eligible for Apple Health for children, pregnant, and adults. Individuals granted TPS may also be eligible for these programs, including Apple Health for adults, because of their underlying receipt of humanitarian parole. Here is the eligibility information presented in the last slide, but in chart form. Again, I want to point out that it is possible that individuals granted TPS may be in the U.S. under humanitarian parole. If here under humanitarian parole, but also granted TPS, TPS is secondary and their humanitarian parole status remains intact. Therefore, they might also be eligible for adult medical. When entering immigration information, selecting No to the citizenship question will allow you to select the applicable person and answer the following: are they lawfully present? Their date of entry? Yes or no, whether or not they have immigration documents, and if yes, the document type. The most common document that you will see will be a passport, I-94, or a letter from DHS approving entry into the U.S. This letter will also contain an A number. When selecting document Other, if only an A number is available, select document type Other. Then enter the A number and description of the document. If an A number has 8 digits, add a 0 to the beginning to make it a 9-digit number. Entering passport information is not required. However, if the only document available is a passport, the information should be entered. If you receive a foreign passport with a stamp, The date of entry is located on the stamp. The passport number is on the upper right corner. This can be all numbers or alphanumeric. If you receive an I-94 arrival departure, the I-94 record number is 11 characters, either all numbers or alphanumeric. The stamp with the date of entry will also be on the card. Please note, the date order is not consistent on all documents. For example, the paper I-94 will have the date of birth as the day, month, and the year, while other documents might have the birth presented as the month, the day, or the year. The next section will address refugee medical assistance. People from Ukraine and immigrants from Iraq and Afghanistan who were granted special immigration status are eligible for Medicaid and refugee medical assistance, the same as refugees. The Refugee Medical Assistance is a program for individuals who are not eligible for Apple Health programs, but who meet the income and resource standard of the RMA program. Refugee Medical Assistance ends on the last day of the 8th month from the month an individual enters the U.S. For example, if they entered the U.S. on May 28, 2022, you are eligible through the end of December 2022. Please note that HCA is in the process of updating the rule for the certification to be extended from 8 months to 12 months. Individuals may be eligible for RMA when they meet immigration status requirements listed under WAC 182-507-0135, have countable resources below $1,000 on the date of application, have countable income equal to or below 200% of the federal poverty level on the date of the application, or receive refugee cash assistance. When an individual's spouse arrives in the U.S., they may be eligible for Medicaid and other programs depending on countable income. If they are not eligible due to income requirements, the spouse is still eligible for RMA for 8 months following the spouse's entry into the U.S. An individual is not eligible for RMA if they are 1. Already eligible for Medicaid or a children's health care program, 2. A full-time student in an institution of higher education with some exceptions, and 3. A non-refugee spouse of a refugee. The next section addresses Authorized Representatives, better known as AREPs. An AREP must have a good faith belief that the information they provide the agency is correct, act responsibly in assisting and with an application, renewal of eligibility or other ongoing communications with the agency, report changes in circumstances required under WAC 182-504-0105, and finally, maintain confidentiality. An AREP can be a court-appointed legal guardian with authority to make financial decisions on the person's behalf, power of attorney that grants decision-making authority regarding the person's financial interaction with the agency. A separate designation is not required for a court-appointed legal guardian or power of attorney. However, verification must be provided to the agency. An AREP can share any information relevant to eligibility. However, the agency can only share information with the AREP that is necessary for the purposes of determining financial eligibility. Examples of information the agency cannot share are Social Security numbers, birth dates, home or mailing addresses, places of employment that are outside of a request for specific employment verification, and estimated due dates. The AREP designation may be terminated at any time by either the applicant or AREP, verbally or in writing. When the applicant or beneficiary is deceased, the AREP designation terminates, except when the AREP is the executor or administrator of the deceased estate, legally authorized by the courts or by the state law to act on behalf of the deceased or their estate, legal guardianship and power of attorney assigned while the client is living ends after the client is deceased. An AREP can be designated by an individual on the application for healthcare coverage. Another option for designating an AREP is the Authorized Representative Form 14532. The next section addresses after pregnancy coverage. Prior to the extension of postpartum coverage, those who were pregnant and on an Apple Health program automatically received 60 days of postpartum coverage. As of June 2022, postpartum coverage has been extended to include 12 months of coverage. It will be the same process as long as you report a pregnancy with an estimated due date. You will automatically transition into after pregnancy coverage. Individuals not active on an Apple Health program during the time they were pregnant can now apply for after pregnancy coverage also, called the postpartum extension. Eligibility requirements include the following: have had a pregnancy within 12 months, reside in Washington State, have countable income equal to or below 193% of the federal poverty level, and not be active in another Apple Health program. Immigration status does not apply. Coverage begins the month the individual applies and is found eligible. The next section addresses resources. Individuals can apply or report a change through any of the following methods. Go online to the Washington Healthplanfinder, by mobile app, by phone, by paper application, or in person. Classic Medicaid is for individuals age 65 or older, have blindness or a disability, or need long-term care services and supports. Individuals can apply through any of the following methods: online through Washington Connection, by paper application, by phone, or in person. The next two slides provide a list of resources on the following subjects: Apple Health eligibility for Ukrainians, COVID-19, HCA's training and education resources, and a cross-agency desk aid. And finally, HCA's community-based specialists, an eligibility-based webpage for pregnancy coverage, and after pregnancy coverage.